First Contact's ultimatum. The massive holographic projection of High Admiral Kekstar filled the United Earth Council chamber, his scaled face betraying no emotion as he delivered the Draconid Empire's ultimatum. The assembled leaders of humanity sat in practiced stillness, their faces illuminated by the harsh purple light of the alien transmission. "You have 24 Earth hours to submit to Imperial protection." Kekstar's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "Your species shows promise, but you are young. Under our guidance, you may one day earn your place among the stars. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate why the Draconid Empire has stood unchallenged for 10,000 years." When the transmission ended, the chamber remained silent for exactly 3 seconds before General Sarah Chen rose from her seat. Her ceremonial uniform gleamed under the restored lighting, the insignia of Earth's combined defense force catching the light. "Distinguished leaders," she began, her voice steady, "the moment we've prepared for has arrived. For the past 50 years, since we first detected their scout ships at the edge of our solar system, we've been ready for this day." Screens materialized around the chamber, displaying classified projects that even most of the council members hadn't known existed. Quantum shielding arrays hidden in asteroid belts, gravitic pulse weapons disguised as communication satellites, an entire fleet of ships constructed in underground facilities on Mars, their designs incorporating technology that the Draconids believed impossible for a young species to develop. "Project Oracle has given us unprecedented insight into their tactical doctrine," Chen continued. "Every engagement the Draconids have fought in the past millennium has been analyzed, every weakness catalogued. They expect us to either surrender immediately or attempt a desperate, disorganized resistance. They don't expect this." The central hologram shifted to display a 3-dimensional tactical map of the solar system. Thousands of stealth platforms activated simultaneously, revealing Earth's true defensive capabilities for the first time. The Draconids base their entire military doctrine on overwhelming force and technological superiority, Admiral James Rodriguez added, stepping forward to join Chen. "They've never faced an opponent who could match their technology, let alone one who's been actively preparing to counter it. Their arrogance is their weakness." The council members watched as simulation after simulation played out, showing how Earth's forces had trained for this exact scenario. The Draconids' preferred attack patterns, their shield frequencies, their communication protocols, all had been studied and countered. "But our greatest advantage," Chen said, her eyes scanning the room, "is that they have no idea who they're really dealing with. They see us as primitive because we haven't expanded beyond our solar system. They don't realize we chose to stay contained, to develop our technology in secret. They think we're isolated. They don't understand that humanity thrives on challenges." The next hours were filled with final preparations. Across the solar system, hidden facilities hummed to life. On Mars, massive hangar doors opened in supposedly dormant craters, revealing squadrons of ships that incorporated technology the Draconids thought impossible for humanity to possess. In the Kuiper Belt, quantum sensors tracked the approaching Draconid fleet, analyzing their every movement. Through it all, Earth's population remained calm, going about their daily lives as if nothing was amiss. The panic the Draconids expected never materialized. Instead, citizens checked their emergency protocols and calmly made their way to designated shelters, following plans they'd been practicing their entire lives. As the deadline approached, General Chen stood in the Combined Defense Force's real command center, buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Around her, operators monitored streams of data from across the solar system. The Draconid fleet had taken position exactly where Project Oracle had predicted they would. "They're sending the final warning," her communications officer reported. "Standard Imperial format, threatening immediate action if we don't respond with our surrender." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Send them our response, the one we prepared 50 years ago." On screens across the command center, a simple message was transmitted toward the Draconid fleet. "We decline your generous offer. "Welcome to Sol system. You may fire when ready." The response threw the draconids into momentary confusion. No species had ever responded to their ultimatum with such casual dismissal. As predicted, their fleet commanders took this as an insult, ordering an immediate attack rather than taking time to properly assess the situation. The first wave of draconid ships surged forward, their energy weapons charging. They never saw the graviton mines hidden in the debris field they dismissed as natural asteroids. They never noticed the quantum frequency analyzers picking apart their shield harmonics. They never suspected that every move they made had been anticipated decades ago. As the first explosions lit up the space around Jupiter's orbit, General Chen opened a channel to all Earth forces. "All units, Operation Starburst is now in effect. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Humanity has hidden in the shadows long enough. It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." The battle that would reshape the galaxy's balance of power was about to begin, and only one side knew it was coming. Operation Starburst. The rings of Saturn glowed with an eerie blue light as Earth's primitive defense platforms activated their quantum matrices. Captain Diana Reeves watched from the bridge of the EDS Hyperion as the carefully orchestrated trap began to close. Her ship, like dozens of others, lay hidden in the ice rings, their advanced metamaterials rendering them invisible to draconid sensors. The enemy fleet moved exactly as predicted, their formation spreading out to envelop what they thought was Earth's hastily assembled defensive line near Titan. Their confidence was almost palpable in the way their ships maneuvered, showing no concern for potential ambush. "All ships reporting ready," Lieutenant Marcus Wong announced from his tactical station. "Quantum synchronization at optimal levels." Diana nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The draconids had committed nearly a third of their fleet to this thrust toward Saturn, seeking to secure the outer system before moving on Earth. They hadn't bothered to change their tactics in centuries. Why should they? No species had ever survived long enough to learn from their mistakes. "Signal from command," Marcus reported. "Operation Starburst is go. Quantum fold initiating in 3, 2, 1. Reality rippled across Saturn's rings as dozens of human vessels activated their quantum drives simultaneously. The draconids had always believed quantum field manipulation on this scale was impossible, a belief humanity had carefully nurtured through decades of misinformation. The first sign that something was wrong came when the draconid fleet's formation suddenly fragmented. Their ship's quantum navigation systems, facing interference patterns they were never designed to handle, began reporting impossible positions. Coordinated fleet movements became chaos as each vessel received different readings about where their allies were located. "Phase 1 complete," Marcus announced. "Their fleet coordination is compromised. Moving to Phase 2. Diana opened a channel to her battle group. "All ships, execute attack pattern Omega. Remember, timing is everything. Don't let them adapt to any single attack vector for more than 30 seconds. The human fleet erupted from Saturn's rings like a swarm of angry hornets, their quantum drives allowing them to appear and disappear at will. Each ship fired from a different position every time, their weapons synchronized to strike through the gaps in draconid shields that appeared during their recalibration cycles. On the draconid flagship, High Commander Vexnar watched in growing horror as his carefully arranged fleet was torn apart by an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. His tactical officers screamed reports of impossible sensor readings, human ships that appeared to be in multiple places simultaneously, weapons that shouldn't exist, and defense systems that adapted faster than their most advanced AI could analyze. "Impossible," he roared as another cruiser exploded, its shields bypassed by weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics as the draconids understood them. "They're savages. They barely have interplanetary travel. How are they doing this?" The answer came in the form of a targeted transmission, breaking through their supposedly unbreakable encryption. General Chen's voice filled the draconid command deck. You assumed that because we hadn't expanded beyond our solar system, we weren't advancing. You never considered that we might have chosen to focus our development inward rather than outward. Your empire spreads across 1,000 light years, High Commander. Ours concentrated 50 years of technological development into a single star system. Would you like to guess which approach produced more innovative results? The battle continued to unfold like a deadly dance. Human ships phased in and out of normal space, their quantum drives allowing them to strike from impossible angles. The draconid fleet's attempts to adapt were frustrated by the constant changes in attack patterns. By the time they developed a countermeasure to one tactic, the human forces had already switched to another. In the debris field that was quickly forming around Saturn, the true extent of humanity's preparation became clear. Automated repair drones swarmed damaged human vessels, their quantum-entangled systems allowing them to coordinate faster than any conventional communication network. When draconid ships tried to target these maintenance operations, they found their weapons intercepted by precision-placed gravitational fields that bent their energy beams back upon themselves. They're attempting to regroup near Titan, Marcus reported. Looks like they're trying to establish a defensive perimeter. Diana allowed herself a grim smile. Exactly as predicted. Signal the Titan defense grid to activate. Let's show them why we built those atmospheric research stations. The surface of Titan lit up as hidden installations emerged from beneath the moon's hypercarbon lakes. Energy beams lanced out, their frequencies precisely tuned to the resonant frequencies of draconid shield systems. Ships that had survived the initial ambush found their defenses systematically stripped away, layer by layer. Message from the draconid flagship, Marcus announced. They're requesting terms of surrender. Diana straightened in her command chair. Put them through to General Chen. Our part here is done. She opened a channel to her fleet. All ships maintain combat positions but hold fire. The enemy has requested terms. As the battle ceased, the rings of Saturn continued to glow with quantum energy, a testament to humanity's hidden power. The debris of draconid ships floated alongside chunks of ice and rock, a stark reminder that technological superiority meant nothing without the wisdom to use it properly. The draconid empire had made a crucial mistake. They had judged humanity's advancement by how far they had spread across space, never considering that a species might choose depth over breadth. They had assumed that humanity's containment to their solar system was a sign of primitive development, rather than a deliberate choice to perfect their technology before venturing outward. As Diana looked out at the aftermath of the battle, she knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity had never been trapped in their solar system. They had been preparing in it. Operation Starburst was more than a military victory. It was humanity's announcement to the galaxy that the age of unchallenged draconid superiority was over. The neural gambit. Dr. Samira Hassan stood in the control center of the Ganymede Neural Command Facility, watching as hundreds of neural interface pods hummed with activity. Each pod contained a human pilot, their consciousness merged with their ships through technology that had been decades in development. The draconids hadn't just underestimated humanity's technological capabilities, they had fundamentally misunderstood how humans thought about technology itself. Neural synchronization rates holding steady at 98%, reported Dr. Marcus Chen, her chief systems analyst. The fleet is ready for Phase 3. Through the facility's quantum-linked displays, Samira could see the ongoing battle near Mars. The remaining draconid forces had regrouped, adapting their tactics based on the lessons learned at Saturn. Their ships now moved in smaller, more flexible formations, trying to counter the quantum-jumping tactics that had proved so devastating in the previous engagement. But they were about to face something entirely new. Initialize Neural Battle Network, Samira commanded. Bring all pilots online. Across the solar system, human ships suddenly changed their behavior. Gone were the precise but still mechanical movements of conventional combat. Instead, the vessels began to move with an organic fluidity that defied traditional space combat doctrine. Each ship became an extension of its pilot's consciousness, reacting with the speed of thought rather than the speed of electronics. In the lead draconid command ship, Strategic Overseer Kexnar watched in growing confusion as his tactical displays struggled to make sense of the human fleet's new movement patterns. "They're not following any known combat algorithms," he growled. "How are they coordinating these maneuvers?" The answer became apparent as the human fleet began to move as a single organism. Ships flowed around draconid weapons fire like schools of fish evading a predator, their movements too quick and too coordinated to be the result of conventional command and control systems. "All pilots," Samira broadcast across the neural network, "remember your training. Trust your instincts. The neural interface removes the barrier between thought and action. Your ships are now part of you." The battle that unfolded next would later be studied in military academies across the galaxy. Human vessels moved with impossible grace, their neural-linked pilots anticipating attacks before they were launched. The quantum drive technology that had proved so effective in the Saturn engagement was now enhanced by human intuition and creativity, making the ship's movements truly unpredictable. Deep in her neural pod, Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez felt her consciousness expand across space. Her fighter wasn't just responding to her commands. It was part of her body. She could feel the quantum fields around her ship like extensions of her own nervous system. When a draconid cruiser fired its main weapons, she didn't need to read sensor data to evade. She simply moved, her ship responding as naturally as taking a step. The neural battle network linked all human pilots together in a way that transcended traditional communication. They shared not just tactical data, but intuition, experience, and awareness. When one pilot spotted a weakness in the draconid formation, the entire fleet instantly understood and adapted without the need for orders or explanation. "Their tactical systems are completely overwhelmed," Marcus reported, monitoring the draconid communications they'd intercepted. "They can't predict our movement patterns because there aren't any patterns. Just human instinct operating at quantum speeds." The draconids attempted to counter by increasing their rate of fire, saturating space with energy weapons. But against neural-linked pilots operating through quantum interfaces, this only made their attacks more predictable. Human ships slipped through the gaps in their fire like water through a sieve, striking with surgical precision at weak points their pilots could intuitively sense. "They're launching their autonomous combat units," Samara observed as the draconids deployed swarms of AI-controlled fighters. This was their standard response when faced with unexpected tactics: overwhelm the enemy with superior numbers controlled by their most advanced combat artificial intelligence. But the human neural interface system had been designed specifically to counter such tactics. The AI fighters, for all their sophisticated programming, still operated on logical algorithms. They couldn't match the creative improvisation of human consciousness operating at quantum speeds. Sophia's squadron demonstrated this as they engaged the AI swarm. The human pilots didn't just evade an attack. They created art with their movements, weaving patterns that looked like chaos but contained a deeper order born from human creativity. The AI fighters, unable to predict or understand these organic patterns, found themselves outmaneuvered and destroyed. "Signal from the Martian Defense Command," Marcus announced. "The draconid fleet is in full retreat. They're abandoning their attempt to secure the inner system." Samira nodded, but she knew this victory came with its own risks. The neural interface technology they'd just revealed would send shockwaves through the galaxy. The ability to directly merge human consciousness with machines, to operate them as natural extensions of the body, would change everything. Not just warfare, but the fundamental relationship between organic life and technology. "Begin neural interface shutdown sequence," she ordered. "Bring our pilots back slowly. They've earned their rest." As the neural pods powered down and pilots began to emerge, Samira turned to Marcus. "Send word to General Chen. The neural gambit was successful, but we need to prepare for what comes next. The draconids won't be the only ones interested in what we've achieved here." The demonstration of neural interface technology had done more than win a battle. It had announced to the galaxy that humanity's approach to technological advancement followed a fundamentally different philosophy. While other species sought to replace organic limitations with artificial solutions, humans had found a way to enhance their natural capabilities without sacrificing what made them human. The true impact of this revelation was yet to come, and Samira knew that the next phase of the conflict would move beyond purely military confrontation. The galaxy's power structures were about to undergo a dramatic shift, and humanity's neural interface technology would be at the center of it all. Diplomatic shockwaves. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so chaotic. Representatives from 300 species filled the ancient hall, their voices rising in a cacophony of demands, accusations, and fears. At the center of the storm stood Ambassador Elena Santos, Earth's first official representative to the Council, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the turmoil around her. "Order. We will have order." Supreme Counselor Vaxtith's voice boomed across the chamber, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The draconid delegation sat in unusual silence, their earlier arrogance replaced by a carefully neutral expression that fooled no one. "The evidence is undeniable," Vaxtith continued once the chamber quieted. Humanity not only successfully defended against a draconid fleet, but did so using technologies that, by all our understanding, should be impossible. The question before this council is simple. What do we do about it? Elena stepped forward, her movements measured and deliberate. The simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps seemed plain among the elaborate costumes of other species, yet somehow commanded more attention. "With respect, Supreme Counselor, I would suggest you're asking the wrong question," she said, her voice carried clearly by the chamber's acoustics. "The real question is, why did you assume we were primitive in the first place?" The chamber erupted again, but Elena continued. "Every species here achieved spaceflight and immediately began expanding, claiming territory, establishing colonies. When you found us contained within our solar system, you assumed we were technologically limited. Not once did you consider we might have made a conscious choice." Across the chamber, the Archean representative, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, moved forward. "You deliberately deceived the galaxy about your capabilities. How can we trust anything you say now?" "Did we?" Elena countered. "We never claimed to be primitive. We never pretended to be less than we are. The galaxy simply saw what it expected to see, a young species taking its first steps into space. Your assumptions were your own." In the observers' gallery, reporters from 1,000 worlds transmitted the proceedings across the galaxy. The implications of humanity's revelations were sending shockwaves through every level of galactic society. Markets were in chaos as corporations tried to assess the value of technologies they'd thought were impossible. Military strategists were frantically revising doctrines that suddenly seemed obsolete. "The Draconid Empire demands assurances." High Commander Vexnar spoke for the first time, his scales still bearing the ceremonial markings of mourning for their lost fleet. "What are humanity's intentions toward the existing power structure of the galaxy?" Elena allowed herself a small smile. "We have no desire for empire, High Commander. Earth has all we need. Our goal has always been to ensure our independence and security. Now that we've demonstrated our capabilities, we hope to establish peaceful relations with all species as equals." Equals. The word rippled through the chamber. The concept challenged millennia of established hierarchy based on technological advancement and territorial control. "Yes, equals," Elena confirmed. "The galaxy's current power structure is based on metrics that we believe are fundamentally flawed. The size of your territory doesn't determine your advancement. The age of your civilization doesn't automatically confer wisdom. And technological development isn't just about how far you can travel or how many worlds you can control." The Mechanoid Collective's representative, a towering figure of advanced cybernetics, raised an objection. "Your neural interface technology violates fundamental principles of machine-organic separation. It cannot be allowed to spread." That's exactly the kind of rigid thinking that we hope to challenge, Alina responded. Humanity doesn't see technology as something separate from ourselves. We don't seek to replace our organic nature with machines, nor do we fear the integration of technology with biology. We seek harmony between the two. As the debate continued, private messages flooded Earth's diplomatic channels. Smaller powers, long chafing under draconid dominance, sought alliances. Corporate entities offered astronomical sums for access to human technology. Scientific institutions begged for collaborative research opportunities. In a quiet corner of the chamber, the ancient Skrull observer, representing one of the galaxy's oldest species, watched with interest. Their species had long predicted that a fundamental shift in galactic power would come not from conquest or technological superiority alone, but from a fundamentally different way of thinking about civilization itself. The human philosophy of technological development is unique, they noted to their aid. While we sought to overcome our biological limitations, they embraced them. While we spread across the stars, they turned their focus inward. Perhaps we have all been moving in the wrong direction. Alina concluded her address to the council with words that would be debated for generations. Earth extends an open hand to all species who wish to explore new ways of thinking about progress, development, and the relationship between organic life and technology. We've chosen to reveal ourselves now because we believe the galaxy is ready for change. The question isn't what you're going to do about humanity, it's what humanity can do with you, if you're willing to set aside your preconceptions and explore new possibilities together. As the session adjourned, the political landscape of the galaxy had already begun to shift. The Draconid Empire's reputation for invincibility was shattered, and with it, the rigid hierarchies that had dominated galactic society for millennia. Smaller powers began to assert themselves, emboldened by humanity's example. The age of unquestioned draconid supremacy was over. Yet in the midst of this diplomatic earthquake, Earth's leaders were already preparing for the next phase. They knew that some would see humanity's achievements not as an opportunity for cooperation, but as a threat to be eliminated. The galaxy was changing, but change never comes without resistance. The true test of humanity's approach was yet to come. Evolution's edge. The massive holographic display in Earth's Combined Defense Force headquarters showed a sight unprecedented in galactic history. The coalition fleet of ships from 17 different species, each incorporating elements of human neural interface technology, moved in perfect harmony through their training exercises. At their center, the newly commissioned EDS Unity served as a testament to what cooperation between species could achieve. Admiral Sarah Chen, recently promoted after the successful defense of Earth, stood beside Ambassador Elena Santos as they watched the display. The past 6 months had transformed the galaxy's power structure in ways no one could have predicted. The Draconid hardliners are making their move, Elena reported, her expression grave. Our intelligence suggests they've assembled a secret fleet, combining their remaining forces with mercenaries and separatist factions from across the galaxy. They're calling it the Purification Force. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. They're not just coming to defeat us this time. They want to erase the very idea that their supremacy could be challenged. The warning came 3 days later. The Purification Force emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their fleet nearly twice the size of the previous invasion force. But this time, they faced not just humanity, but a coalition of species who had embraced Earth's philosophy of technological integration and cooperation. High Admiral Kekstar's message was broadcast across all frequencies. This abomination ends today. Humanity's corruption of the natural order cannot be allowed to spread. All species who have allied with Earth will share their fate. The response came not from Earth, but from the combined coalition fleet. Ships of varying designs, their crews linked through human neural interface technology, moved as one. The Arxian energy beings, whose natural ability to process multiple streams of consciousness made them particularly adept with the neural systems. The crystalline Vex, whose unique perception of time-space added new dimensions to combat awareness. even a contingent of younger draconids who had rejected their empire's stagnant ideology. They still don't understand, Dr. Samira Hassan observed from her position in the Ganymede Neural Command Facility. They think this is about military superiority. It was never about that. The battle that followed would be remembered not for its destruction, but for what it revealed about the nature of progress itself. The Purification Force, for all its numbers, fought with the same rigid doctrine that had defined draconid warfare for millennia. The coalition forces, in contrast, displayed an evolutionary adaptability that seemed almost organic. Through the neural network, ideas and innovations flowed freely between species. Each race's unique perspective and capabilities enhanced the whole. When the draconids attempted to exploit a weakness in Arxian shielding, Vex's temporal insights combined with human intuition to develop a countermeasure in real time. When they tried to disrupt the neural network with quantum interference, the collective consciousness of the coalition adapted faster than any artificial system could analyze. Multiple ships are powering down their weapons, reported Lieutenant Wong from his tactical station. They're requesting permission to defect to the coalition. The tide turned not through overwhelming force, but through demonstration. Young draconid officers, seeing the power of true cooperation and adaptive technology, began to question their leader's dogma. Other species in the Purification Force, many of whom had joined out of fear rather than conviction, recognized that humanity's way offered more freedom than the Draconid Empire's rigid hierarchy ever had. High Admiral Kekstar's final transmission revealed the true heart of the conflict. "You don't understand what you're destroying," he raged. "Order requires hierarchy. Progress requires control. Without our guidance, the galaxy will fall into chaos." Ambassador Santos' response was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. "Progress isn't about control, Admiral. It's about adaptation, evolution, the ability to change and grow. Humanity didn't stay in our solar system because we were primitive. We stayed because we understood that true advancement comes from depth, not breadth, from integration, not separation, from cooperation, not domination." The battle ended not with the destruction of the Purification Force, but with its transformation. Ship by ship, crew by crew, the old order gave way to new possibilities. The neural network expanded, incorporating more perspectives, more ways of thinking, more potential for growth. In the aftermath, as the coalition fleet regrouped around Earth, the true significance of humanity's impact on the galaxy became clear. They had introduced more than just new technology. They had demonstrated a new way of thinking about progress itself. The Galactic Council, recognizing the fundamental shift in power dynamics, underwent its own evolution. The rigid hierarchy based on territorial control and technological superiority was replaced by a more fluid structure that valued innovation, cooperation, and adaptability. "What happens now?" the Lina asked as she and Admiral Chen watched ships from across the galaxy dock with Earth's orbital stations, their crews eager to participate in the new era of collaboration. Sarah smiled, gesturing to the neural interface pod where she would soon join the next training session. "Now we do what humans have always done best. We adapt, we grow, and we help others do the same." The galaxy thought we were isolated in our solar system, but we were actually incubating the future. As Earth's first academy for interspecies neural integration opened its doors, welcoming students from hundreds of worlds, the message was clear. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't in defeating the Draconid Empire, but in showing the galaxy a new path forward. One where progress wasn't measured by how far you could expand, but by how well you could evolve. The age of rigid hierarchies and technological supremacy was over. The age of adaptive cooperation had begun. And humanity, the species that had chosen to perfect itself before reaching for the stars, would help guide the way forward, not as conquerors or superiors, but as partners in the greatest evolutionary leap the galaxy had ever seen.